Good morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream, and I'm going to do our March the 13th just for today in a meditation. I'm a little rough around the edges, but nonetheless, it is a beautiful morning. The title of the meditation is That One Special Person. A sponsor is not necessarily a friend, but maybe someone in whom we confide. We can share things with our sponsor that we might not be comfortable sharing in a meeting. That comes from IP number 11, Sponsorship Revised. We've asked someone to sponsor us, and the reasons we have for asking that particular person are as many as the grains of sand on a beach. Perhaps we heard them share at a speaker meeting and thought they were funny or inspiring. Perhaps we thought they had a great car and we would get one by working the same program they work. Or maybe we live in a small town and they were the only person who had the time available to help. Whatever our initial reasons for getting the sponsor we have, we're sure to find that our reasons for keeping them are quite different. Suddenly, they'll amaze us with some stunning insight, making us wonder whether they've been sneaking peeks at our fourth step. Or maybe we're going through some sort of life crises, and their experience with the same problem helps us in ways we never dreamed possible. We call them in pain, and they come up with a special combination of caring words that provide genuine comfort. None of these remarkable feats on the part of our sponsor are mere coincidence. They've simply walked the same path before us. A higher power has placed that one special person in our lives, and we are grateful for their presence. Just for today, I will appreciate that one special person in my life, my sponsor. Let's take a moment of silence, followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. Thank you, God. Grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. So we're talking about that one special person, our sponsor, and the reasons that we chose them and why we confide in them. Sponsors are interesting people. One day they can be having just a good phase in life and available and interactive. And the next day they can seem like you can't find them. No matter how hard you try to reach, they don't seem to have the time. And just when you're thinking about finding another sponsor, what do you know? You get a voicemail or you get a text or you get a phone call, and instead of having a resentment about their unavailability, you actually answer the call because there's more of you that wants them in your life than that doesn't. That's for me. I'm just talking about my relationship with my sponsors that I've had. What about you? Why have you chosen the person that you have? And why do you continue to stay in that relationship, even at times when it doesn't seem like it's working? Because basically, at the end of the day, you chose them for a reason, and they are that person that you can confide in. And they have a way of lovingly helping us see things that we aren't always able or willing to see. Because, my sponsor, a lot of times, she's not giving me new information. She's just phrasing it in a way that kind of pins me up against a wall to acknowledge the reality. And she does it in such a loving and caring way that there really isn't any getting offended, right? And if I choose to be offended, it's very obvious that I'm not justified, right? I'm trying to rationalize something. And so there's been some hard conversations, mostly about how I interact with my mate, how I interact with, when my dad was alive, because I was aware that my motives weren't always what I wanted them to be, and in those instances, just the caring response that allowed me to admit that I needed to improve, but not beat myself up over it. Just reminded me of the way I love and care for my sponsees. And so, yeah, there's days where I think, man, it'd be nice to have someone a little bit more accessible, a little less busy than me, right? But in general, I don't really, I'm not that type of needy type of sponsee, right? So it's sufficient for my needs. But what about you? I always tell my sponsees, I always tell them this. And sometimes I watch them wrestle with it, right? Sometimes I know they fired me long before they realized they fired me, right? This is what I tell them always in the beginning and periodically when I notice that they're not really, not really, it's not a good fit, not from my end, but because of maybe behaviors they don't want to give up, I always tell them, if you ever find someone else that suits your needs, right, that you click with better, that you will actually do step work with and not just call when your tail is in the fire, right? If you ever find that person, ask them to sponsor you. Yeah, it'd be nice if you would talk to me and let me know that, you found someone else, but that's not really my priority. That's called integrity, right? That's called integrity when you let your sponsor go and they don't know that they've been let go and you get a hold of them and you tell them, I'm going to look for another sponsor or I found another sponsor. Most people that agree to sponsor you will say, if they know you, they might already know who your other sponsor is or your sponsor is at that time and get you to commit to having the conversation before they take it on, right? And the reason is because of integrity, right? And I'm a person, I believe in integrity, don't get me wrong, but I don't feel that a person's lack of integrity should actually stop them from being able to get better and get to the point where maybe they can get some integrity. Right? I mean, I don't feel like that is the deal breaker on their recovery, right? Yeah, it'd be nice to know in advance that I've been fired. Absolutely. Who wouldn't want to know? Instead of running into someone and say, I just want to have a conversation with you because I'm not really sure if she told you that she asked me to be your sponsor. I'd be like, what? She did? Enjoy the relationship. I can't even be mad. Enjoy it, right? Is there anything I need to know? Nope. Anything you need to know, you're gonna find out or you already know. Okay, so I'm not that type of person, right? Don't come to me asking me what I need to know about the sponsee that you took on. Don't come to me like that, right? And so each relationship is individual. And so you need to figure out if you have that one special person or you need another special person. And you need to be integral about that as much as possible, right? A lot of people fear the pain or hurting their sponsor. They don't want to hurt them. And I just don't think sponsorship is like that. I think that There's been some sponsees that I've been devastated by. Devastated by. I wouldn't dare go into it on this platform. Devastated by, right? So I know it is possible to be too enmeshed with your sponsees and devastated by their behavior towards you. I do know that. But I do believe that there should be some distancing where, you know, my ability to be joyful and in the space of a good mood is not dependent on how a sponsee connects with me, treats me, or doesn't treat me, right? Some people have, you know, they feel like they should be best friends with their sponsor. I don't really believe that. I don't. I mean, I have a couple best friends, but they're not sponsees. Although I would say my sponsees, I believe that when we get together, we have a good time and we enjoy fellowshipping with each other. I would never put that kind of pressure on a sponsee to be my best friend or expect them to be, or a sponsor to be my best friend. You know, one thing I will say, there's this one component, and I'll end with this, that's I think bothered me with one sponsor. She's no longer my sponsor, but it's not because of this reason. What bothered me about the relationship was that before I had asked this lady to be my sponsor, a lot of her friends were my friends. Okay. And we didn't hang out. Like, we didn't hang out. This lady and I did not hang out like that. Right. But some of the people, 3 in particular, were people that you could occasionally find me having coffee with, occasionally find me going to a movie with, occasionally finding me meeting up at an event or at a convention with. So I believe that some of her friends were my friends. However, when I had asked her to be my sponsor, all of those people, and I do mean all, started acting funny. I'm trying to tell you, they started to act very funny. I had not changed. I had not changed. Their connection to me changed because of her connection to me. That was the first sign that something was amiss, right? That was the first sign that I had that she did not have my best interest at heart, okay? And I could take you down a long road of where that relationship went. But at the end of the day, what turned out to be was that she was really sharing a lot of the stuff that I was sharing with these ladies, gossiping, in other words, breaking my confidentiality. And so that is the one time where I feel like I would have been much better just remaining as friends. So I want you thinking about that, because what we're talking about is your life. We're talking about your recovery. We're talking about your ability to move out of that plateau that I'm okay. You're okay, or you're not okay, but I'm okay. Moving out of that mentality that there's not further growth for you. A lot of people get into the program and they stay clean, but they keep making the same mistakes, expecting different results. They keep doing the same thing over and over. And while you can't keep making the same mistakes because after a while it's no longer a mistake, right? And so the majority of those people that have that lifestyle live like that. They haven't written any steps. They're not working on any steps. They don't talk. I mean, I believe you can work on steps without necessarily writing all of those questions out. I do believe that. There's people that are not, they just don't read well. Okay. And so that doesn't mean that we can't have conversations about the questions or have conversations about the step, right? It doesn't mean that I can't meet with a person and go over, the information with them. Yeah. I had one sponsee, I remember when we met, we went over the step and I literally read the question and they answered it, right? Because their capability of reading was just not that great. And I didn't feel like they needed to not be able to say that they worked the steps just because they couldn't read well. Obviously, I read very well. So why wouldn't I share that gift with them and help them get through that process? And so I did. And it was like a live working of the steps, right? In real time. And that's what it is when you go over it anyway. Half the stuff that people write down don't really even, doesn't really even get discussed. And they read it, but that's not where the conversation goes. They read their answer. Some people are like that, and that's fine. Honor the process of them writing all those answers out. That's fine. But at the end of the day, we're still going to have a real-time discussion about what you perceived as your answer. And so for some people, I just skip right over that because they're not comfortable with their reading and writing skills, but they need to be able to go through the process. If I'm going to spend 2 to 4 hours with you doing that, why not help you do it in real time if need be? Right? So no more excuses there. Make sure you have a sponsor and that person is special, that you trust them, and get busy. Get busy because it will transform you. My name is Mighty Stream. I've enjoyed talking to you today about sponsorship. I hope that you will have a beautiful day on purpose.